In this tutorial, we'll be creating a fun food quiz, and we'll be using a class called GameDialog, which is an extension that Lyra provides in its plugin called CommonGame. And it extends CommonUI a little bit and provides with a nice modular solution to just have yes or no prompts show up, or okay and cancel, or also just okay. Based on the user inputs, we'll just show more game dialogues. It works also for keyboard, mouse and keyboard. So if you're sure you don't like cilantro, you press OK, and then sadness awaits you, and it's game over. So yeah, let's get to it. I was very curious with how Lyra was handling its game dialogue confirmation prompts, and so I chose the widget reflector to debug how the quit game dialog prompt showed up and how that was hooked up. So to pull up the widget reflector, the shortcut is Control-Shift-W. It won't work when your focus is only on UI. So what you can do is you can return to gameplay focus, and then you can press Shift F1, and then you can do Control-Shift-W, or you can pull up the widget reflector before you start playing. And the other place you can find it is inside Tools, Debug, and then the widget reflector. Okay, so let's go ahead and navigate or go to the menu with the escape key, and then let's go ahead and pretend we're quitting the game. So here you can pick the hit testable widgets. So I'm just going to hover over, I guess just are you sure? And then press escape to stop. Okay, so this is the widget that this widget is. And the only thing that Lyra does is that it populates these fields. And the other things that are notable are the actual UI layout. So that is pretty much the UI layout of the entire game. And it's just comprised of activatable widget stacks, or common activatable widget stacks, which are part of the CommonUI plugin. And in our case, the confirmation prompt is pushed to the modal stack. And the lower the stack is, the higher in the Z order it is. So it will cover any UI that has to do with the game. So since this is the widget that gets populated with information, where does that information show up from? Or where is it set up? So to find that out, I just use the widget reflector on the quit button. So let's go ahead and say, let's just go with the widget reflector and then pick the quit. Okay, and then escape. And so that is the Lyra menu button, which is inside the Lyra game menu. So when you open that up, we'll see that this is our quit game button. And then you can navigate to the details panel. And in the section for on button base clicked, so this is the event or logic that is bound whenever a user either clicks with a mouse or clicks while this is selected with the gamepad. Okay, so there you go. So whenever this button is clicked, we just show the confirmation yes or no. So with the description, this is, you can see the node name is Async Action Show Confirmation. And it's nice because whenever the user does something, it results in a result, which is either confirmed, declined, canceled, or killed. So yeah, this is nice because you can populate it with whatever you want it to say. And then whatever the user does, you can put different logic here. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop the simulation. And what we're going to do in this tutorial is we're just going to add another button to our Lyra game menu. And it's just going to be a nice little trivia about if you like cilantro or not. So I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate the options button. So I'm just going to duplicate. And then this one, I'll just call it food quiz button. Okay, and then in our details panel, you can scroll down, and then in the button text, we're just going to call this one food quiz. All right. Okay, and then to bind the logic that we want, you can navigate again in the details panel, and then in the, let's just bind an event on base button clicked. So you can press on the plus button, and we'll do very similar logic than this one. So show confirmation, just copy paste this node. So in this case, I'm just going to say, do you like cilantro? Okay, and then I'll call this title existential question. Okay, and then when we switch out of it, you can just drag it out and then search for switch. And it's nice, it'll populate all the different options. I'm going to unhook it, so Alt and then click on this to unhook it to this execution pin, because we actually want to only run this logic once we have a result, and this is the execution pin for that. Okay, so in our case, we've confirmed that we like cilantro, means nothing happens. And then for the decline, let's actually use another confirmation one. So I found out that if you just search for show confirmation, there's other options. For now, custom doesn't seem to do much because it requires a descriptor, and that doesn't seem to be exposed through blueprints yet. Okay, so I'm just going to use the show confirmation, and then there's also an OK cancel. So that will make sure that the buttons at the bottom are OK and cancel. So I'm just going to have this one. So confirmation screen. Okay. Press OK if you're sure. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so we can see. So this is when you decline. And then this one, the OK and cancel, it's the confirm and the canceled. So I'm just going to drag that out and then switch on. And then again, I'm just going to unhook this one. So Alt click. And then in this one, so this one, if you cancel, let's go ahead and go back to our first question. So it's kind of a unending loop of a very biased opinion. Okay. And then when you decline, we're just going to be pretty much game over. So for now, we're just going to straight up quit the game, not even put a prompt for that you failed and all that. So we can just grab that one from the quit button editor only. So this is pretty much just for fun testing and testing out what's available in Lyra for GameDialogs. Okay. And okay, so you quit the game and that's it. And if you confirm nothing happens, the dialog goes away on its own. So let's go ahead and test this out. Okay, I don't need my widget reflector right now. I'm just going to play. Okay, and I'm going to actually close the widget reflector because it left this little green rectangle. Okay, so let's go into the food quiz. Okay, do you like cilantro? If I say no, it says press OK if you're sure, OK, and then it just quits the game. So this is how you use these two asynchronous nodes. It's in the CommonGame plugin. So for Lyra, it's in, I'm just going to go ahead and navigate to the plugins. Under the gameplay, it's in CommonGame. So if you want this game dialog logic that Lyra already has, this is essentially just a Lyra confirmation screen, which is a activatable widget, and it is part of the CommonGame plugin. So in this case, inside my Lyra project, which I named CommonUI prompt, and you can navigate to your plugins. And then the CommonGame is the plugin that has this functionality amongst other things. Yeah, so the CommonGame actually has the primary game layout, which is this here. So a lot of the Lyra UI is built on this plugin, which uses the plugin CommonUI as a lot of base classes. Okay, so if you were to want that plugin, you could just copy paste this folder here. Okay, so I just wanted to showcase all the other different game dialogues that Lyra has. So they have this, I'm just going to zoom in, so control scroll wheel. So they have this confirmation default, confirmation dialog, error, and they also have controller disconnected, which is another one of the nice to have UI screens that you can have. Yeah, so the error one, a lot of time it's kind of hard to see where they're used because some of them are actually called from code. And speaking of which, there is also another game dialog that's not exposed to Blueprint, and it is the one for just confirming, just saying OK. So when you play and you go to options, gameplay, whenever you change your language settings and you apply, it just asks you or it just prompts you that you will need to restart the game completely. So if you actually want this UI and to just provide it with a text, then in this next step, I'm just going to add that functionality in code. So I'll just say OK. And I'm just going to go back because unfortunately, I don't know that many languages. Okay, so I'm going to stop the simulation. And then let's actually go ahead and try to find where that async node is. So unfortunately, double-clicking on these asynchronous nodes don't really lead to anything, or they don't try to generate your project. So I'm just going to go to the confirmation dialog, and then I'm going to click on Lyra confirmation screen to open up that file. And then I'm just going to go ahead and generate my project file because this is a fresh Lyra project in 5.3. For those using Writer, you may get this prompt here that Writer Link plugin is required. So I'm just going to go ahead and install plugin in game. Because I'm using the distributed version of Unreal, so the one from the launcher, I'm not going to make any edits to the engine. It's been a while since I've used straight up a Visual Studio, but from my understanding, they do have their sort of version of Blueprint debugging or Blueprint Link. So this is very useful just to see how many, or to see the connection between the classes and the blueprints that use these classes. So I could try to find the function by name, but in this case, I was also curious about who else calls this setup dialog. So in Writer, it's Shift-Alt-F12 for my configuration. So it's essentially just find usages for this function. So this is used in the confirmation screen of that is itself. Yeah. So it's used in show error and show confirmation. So I'm just going to navigate to show confirmation. Okay, so it seems like it's the Lyra UI messaging, which is using the common messaging subsystem. which is part of the CommonGame plugin. So another nice to have thing, just to output messages in a stylish way using UI. So these are the classes that we could see in the game. This is where they are referenced. So I'm just going to, again, just search for show confirmation. So who uses this? So there you go. We found our asynchronous action for show confirmation. There's also the language on apply. So that's the one we'll be very intrigued by. But first, let's go to our async action show confirmation. This is an asynchronous node. I'm just going to press F12 to navigate to its declaration. And then you'll see that the three options that we saw in Blueprint are right here. And I'm still not sure exactly why they're not searchable, or you can't double click on them to navigate to them. Anyone with an answer to that, please post in the comments section. I'd be very happy to know. So yeah, even here, it's really hard to find usages because it's in Blueprint and it's somehow not linked. So I'm just going to go back. So I have a back button on my mouse, which is super useful. It's on the left side. Ever since finding that out, I forgot about all the back and forward shortcut that are here. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. Okay, I'm going to search again, show confirmation. So this is one of the game setting. Whenever the language is applied, it creates this confirmation. It just shows this confirmation. So I decided to just make a function directly inside the Lyra UI messaging and expose it to Blueprint so that we could call to create an OK confirmation. Okay, so let's open up our Lyra UI messaging. And then right below initialize, let's go ahead and create a function that's exposed to Blueprint. So it'll be Blueprint callable. My resharper is catching up, so it's a bit slow. It doesn't auto-complete for me because it's processing all these files. Yeah, so this one, I'm just going to call it show confirmation OK. And then it'll take an f text, title, and then an f text message. Okay. And then I can alt enter to generate the definition. Okay, so what this does, it just creates a body for the function. It's really nice to generate code. Okay, and so this is inside our C++ class. And this time we're just going to call very similar to what language calls. So I'm actually going to go ahead and copy paste just this part here. Okay. And then we are already in the Lyra messaging, so we don't need to get the system. So I'm just going to paste it here. And we're going to, instead of using the predefined warning language title and message, we're just going to populate it with title. So it would be best that by the time it's here, or the text that's given in the blueprint is already localized. Okay. All right. So Control E, C. For me, we'll just reformat my code. There you go. So it's pretty nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we could do live code and just Control Shift F11 here. Because I changed a header file, I'd rather just close the project and then run from Writer or Visual Studio. Okay, so I'm just going to debug this project. Okay, so we're back in the editors that compiled. So now I just want to open up the game menu again. So I could find it here, like game menu, but a lot of time when I forget what something's named, I just play the game and use the widget reflector. So Control-Shift-W. Okay. And you've noticed that we haven't done any UI animation. So since this isn't the focus of this video, I'm just going to leave it like this. And then, okay, so then we have our Lyra game menu. Okay, so I'm just going to stop this and I'm going to navigate to our food quiz bound. Oh, no, I don't care to open that again. Yeah, let's go to our button clicked. Okay, and then we can get our Lyra messaging. Okay, so it's just called the Lyra UI messaging. Okay, and then I'm just going to drag it off and call, I think it's something okay. So just show confirmation okay is the function we just created. So whenever we confirm here, we can say success. So deliciousness awaits you. So we could also say, we could change it. This is where you can choose your data, or this is where you can choose your string, and so that it will be localized to the correct language. So if you have a game that you're doing localization, make sure to utilize that. Yeah, and then I'm just going to copy that for whenever it's game over. So if you confirm right before quitting the game, we can say game over. Sadness awaits you. Sadness awaits you. Okay. So another thing to note, if you're not within a UI class, or if you're within, let's say, the level or some other blueprint, you have to sort of give this one the local player. So the other alternative one is Lyra. So this one takes in a player controller. So if you want to send this message to a specific player controller, so let's say you're in a multiplayer game and you just want to send it to the current local player, then you can choose this one. And then you can use the same function. Okay, so I'm just going to delete that. All right, so I think we covered all the bases. So now when you win, you'll get this nice message. Okay, so I'm just going to play. And then food quiz. Do you like cilantro? Yes. Success. Deliciousness awaits you. Okay. And another thing to note is that this also works on the gamepad. So food quiz. Do you like cilantro? I say nay. And then press OK if you're sure. I'll say I am very sure about my dislike. Ah, and it didn't show up. Okay, so this is the greatness of doing these tutorials. So I found an edge case of, well, you show the confirmation, but then it doesn't wait for the user to give their input. So this is surely why the Lyra team didn't, or why they used an asynchronous node. So in our case, we could just create a new async function where the other ones are. And this one will just wait on press OK. Okay, so go ahead and navigate to async action show confirmation. So this is under your CommonGame plugin. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy the show confirmation yes, no. And this one I will just call it show confirmation okay. So this will create an asynchronous node. So it'll just wait on the player's input And it's just a way of having a latent or later execution pin happen. Okay, so I'm just going to Alt Enter, generate a definition. And I'm going to go ahead and just copy paste this, pretty much this whole functions body. And I'm just going to call this one with OK. Okay, so this is the only difference, is just that the descriptor only needs one button, and it's just OK. So I'm going to just run or recompile. All right, this time I actually remember what my UI is called. Okay, so widget Lyra game menu. I'm going to navigate to the bound event. Okay. And then instead of using this function, we could still use this function if it doesn't rely on the user's input. So in this case, this one's all right. But in this one, we're actually going to call show confirmation. Okay. Okay, and I'm just going to copy paste the information we had passed it before. So sadness awaits you. It's too sad. Okay, so I'm just going to close this one. And in this case, we don't actually care about the result, just as long as some interaction was made. So I'm just going to compile. And let's play and see what happens. So food quiz, do you like cilantro? No. Press OK if you're sure. I am absolutely sure. So yeah, game over. Sadness awaits you. And then when you press OK, that's when the quit game function shows up, or functionality happens. So yeah, this is a really nice and modular way of using dialogues or game dialogues, or reusing pretty much just like a framework. It almost reminded me a little bit of web development, or where you just have to fill in the values and the styling is already there. So yeah, this is another video about my exploration inside CommonUI. It's been very, very interesting and very useful. And I'm finding that these game dialogues, they're very expandable. You can make your own in code. So I was actually able to make one for a tutorial and show a key binding and all. So yeah, it's a very powerful plugin. CommonUI and CommonGame just expands that to make it even more usable and have useful classes. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.